Now, the Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly stepped down last month, accused of sexual harassment by a number of women. Now, one of them has flown to London to try to block Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox, from taking full control of Sky. She met the media regulator Ofcom, which is investigating whether Murdoch's company, 21st Century Fox, would be fit and proper to take full control of Sky. Well, our media editor, Amol Rajan, tracked down Rupert Murdoch to ask him whether he thinks the allegations will harm the takeover.
It's Amol Rajan from the BBC. Are you worried about Ofcom at all?
No.
Hello?
You should be worried about BBC as well. I think
That's what's doing.
Getting record ratings and record... Fox News are getting record ratings.
Yeah.
And so I'm not worried at all.
And you don't think Ofcom are going to consider what's happening at Fox News? Will it enter
Nothing's
their
happening at Fox
considerations?
News. Nothing. Okay?
You lost 3 of your top people. That's something, isn't it? There's a sexual and racial harassment allegation.
Not the third person at all. Nothing against him. And the other 2 are quite separate. So goodbye.
Well, that was Rupert Murdoch. Earlier I spoke to Dr. Wendy Walsh, one of the complainants against Bill O'Reilly, and her lawyer, Lisa Bloom.
The truth is, Fox has a corporate culture of sexism, racism, misogyny. I was but one woman, and luckily I didn't have a lawsuit. I'm not suing anybody. I don't want money. I'm just free to tell the truth. And after their lawyers did a deep investigation into my claims, they decided to fire Bill O'Reilly.
I'll come back to, obviously, some of what they've said in rebuttal in a moment or two, but in terms of your basic allegation, that dates back to, what, 2013, doesn't it? Tell me more.
So in 2013, I was a guest on the O'Reilly Factor. After appearing 3 times, I received an email from a Fox employee who was inviting me to have dinner with Mr. O'Reilly. You can't say no, he's the big boss. So I thought it would be a great business dinner where I could talk about maybe getting on as a paid contributor. He brought it up immediately and told me that Roger Ailes, the then chairman, was a friend of his, and they were going to offer me a contributor position. So the dinner felt almost celebratory. At the end of dinner, he simply said, "Let's get out of here." And as we walked out of the restaurant in the Bel Air Hotel, I turned to the left to walk to the bar. He turned to the right to walk to the bedrooms. And I said, "The bar's this way." And he said, "No, come to my suite." And I simply said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I mean, we're both parents, Bill, and we're raising teenage girls. We should model some good choices for them." So we went to the bar. His demeanor changed from charming to hostile, and he said the words, "You can forget all the career advice I gave you." After that, they slowly weaned me from the show and canceled my segment.
Lisa Bloom, in terms of the denials, Bill O'Reilly has gone on record saying, denying all of this, but in a sense, why should any of that behaviour impact on this basic decision about whether 21st Century Fox is suitable to take over Sky?
Right. Well, Mr. O'Reilly may have denied it, but ultimately he was fired because of the legal investigation we forced them to do on behalf of Wendy Walsh and 2 other clients who I represented against him. Every chance since 2004 that the Murdochs have had an opportunity to comply with the law, respecting women's rights, respecting the rights of people of color, or standing by a highly profitable man who makes them a lot of money, they've chosen the latter. Even this latest statement that you just showed is a real slap in the face to Wendy Walsh and to all the other women and the African-American employees who say they have a serious toxic culture in their workplace. To say that that is nothing, that's what Mr. Murdoch just said, I mean, that's really appalling. To say that all he cares about is ratings, we've got high ratings, so nothing else matters. We think the people of the UK value women's rights. That's why we're here. We think you value women's rights more than you value greed and money and ratings. Well,
we heard Rupert Murdoch, but let, just for our viewers' benefit, to put onto the screen what Bill O'Reilly has said, because he made a statement when he left Fox, and he said it is tremendously disheartening that we part ways due to completely unfounded claims, but that's the unfortunate reality many of us in the public eye must live with today. Lisa Bloom, I mean, in terms of that statement, and that was put out a couple of weeks ago when, of course, he parted company with Fox, but for the British regulator, for Ofcom, they have to base their decision going forward on fact, don't they?
Yes, they do. To say that the claims are unfounded is really quite amusing, because the company, which had every economic reason to find for Bill O'Reilly to keep him because he brings in hundreds of millions of dollars a year in advertising to the company, they actually found against him, and they found that Wendy Walsh's claims were well-founded, as were
But there is no
claims.
evidence that is in front of
That is
Ofcom.
not true.
There is no evidence that is in front of Ofcom here.
Well, first of all, a woman's testimony is evidence. It's evidence in every sexual harassment and sexual assault case.
Well, responding to Wendy Walsh's allegations, 21st Century Fox have said the company's management has taken prompt and decisive action to address reports of sexual harassment and workplace issues at Fox News. These actions have led to an overhaul of Fox News Channel's leadership, management and reporting structure. Well, I also spoke a little earlier with the media analyst Claire Enders and asked whether this testimony we've just heard should be taken into account in Ofcom's decision.
Ofcom will take account of the evidence that's been supplied to it in the various reports that they write, and that will cover all of the evidence that they will have received. I mean, there have been over 100,000 submissions, you know, so there's a lot of material there. I think that the more interesting question is whether this is the same kind of thing as phone hacking, whether the transaction is fundamentally at risk. And there, alas, I only wish that the world was so made that sexual harassment allegations could bring down senior managements with the kind of ease that we've seen at Fox News, but I'm afraid these are not the same matters.
I'll talk about those parallels to phone hacking in a moment, but there is a difference between testimony and evidence, isn't there, for Ofcom?
Well, there's also a difference between, well, there's a difference between allegations and criminal sentences, absolutely. And obviously, there's an extraordinary difference in this country, as there is in the US, between criminal matters and employment matters. And sexual and race harassment are classified as employment matters, and typically the victims' identities are kept secret, as are their settlements. So it is a completely different matter, but it is a very significant matter, and it's one that Ofcom is paying great attention to.
Claire Enders speaking to me just a short while ago. Now, still to come.